There are couples in the entertainment world who, even after all these years, are still talked about. Not because of scandal, not because of sensation, but because of something more difficult to explain. Connection. And when it comes to unforgettable connections, these two names almost always come up. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. Two people who were once in the same place and unknowingly created one of the most iconic chemistries in Chinese entertainment. At the time, perhaps no one really expected what would happen. They were just two actors working on the same project. Nothing more. No one knew that the project would change their lives forever. When The Untamed aired, everything changed. The drama wasn't just a success. It exploded. And with that explosion, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's names soared far higher than ever before. People started paying attention to them. Not just the characters they played, but their connection. The way they spoke. The way they looked at each other. The way they seemed comfortable. Effortlessly. And that's where it all started. The more people saw them together, the more the curiosity grew. Because that kind of chemistry is hard to fake. There was something about it that felt natural. Something that made people believe that their relationship was deeper than just co-workers. And without realizing it, the public began to build their own expectations. Hopes that this closeness would last, that they would always be together. Continue performing together. Continue being the same duo as before. But the entertainment world isn't that simple. Because the greater someone's popularity, the less space they have to live freely. And Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan began to feel that pressure. Their every move was scrutinized. Every interaction was analyzed. Even small things could turn into major online discussions. One look could become a theory. One smile could become a rumor. And the more people talked about them, the greater the pressure. Not just as artists, but as human beings. Because there's one thing the public often forgets. That behind all the popularity, there's still two ordinary people who also have limits. But the internet rarely thinks about that. The internet just wants more. More interaction. More moments together. More proof that the chemistry is real. And maybe that's the point where everything started to change. Slowly, their interactions began to dwindle. They weren't seen together as often as they used to be. There weren't as many moments as before. And of course, the public immediately noticed. Questions began to arise. Did they fight? Has their relationship changed? Or are they deliberately drifting apart? And the fewer answers there were, the wilder the speculation became. But maybe the answer isn't as simple as people think. Because sometimes two people don't change because they hate each other, but because the world around them is too noisy. Imagine living where every little interaction is analyzed by millions. Every word is cut, discussed, and shared. Every closeness turns into pressure. Sooner or later, anyone will grow tired. And maybe that's what many people never truly understand. That immense popularity can also create distance. Not because the relationship is gone, but because everything becomes too difficult to live normally. But even as time goes by, there's one interesting thing. People still can't forget them. Some still rewatch their moments. Some still discuss their chemistry. Some still believe that connection is different. And maybe it's because something real doesn't easily disappear. Even when times change. Even when circumstances change. Because some connections don't always need to be visible. To still be felt. And maybe that's why Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's names are still mentioned together today. Not because the public is forced to believe, but because there's something that leaves an impression too strong to forget. However, the bigger a connection becomes in the public eye, the bigger the risks involved. And Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan perhaps understood that faster than anyone else. Because after massive success came, their lives were no longer the same. The popularity that once felt like a dream slowly turned into an invisible pressure. They weren't just successful artists. They became phenomena. And being a phenomenon means your life is no longer entirely your own. Every step is monitored. Every expression is scrutinized. And every decision is always fraught with interpretation. Even silence can become news. And amidst all of that, there's one thing that may be starting to disappear. Freedom. The freedom to interact normally. The freedom to be yourself without being watched by millions of eyes. Because when the public becomes too attached to a relationship, it slowly turns into a burden. And perhaps that's what makes everything feel different now. Not because they've become strangers, but because circumstances forced everything to change. And let's be honest. Not every relationship needs to be in the public eye to be meaningful. Sometimes, the most sincere things are kept out of the spotlight, and maybe that's the part the internet never really understands. Because the internet loves clear answers, while reality is often gray. Not black. Not white. Just complicated. And maybe Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's relationship is like that too. Complicated to explain, but too powerful to ignore. It's complicated to explain, but too powerful to ignore. And maybe that's why, even now, people keep coming back to them. Even though time has passed. The drama ended long ago. They've also gone their separate ways. But strangely, the names Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan still feel connected. As if there's something that hasn't completely disappeared. And maybe it's not just the public who feels that. Because some connections in life don't always disappear just because circumstances change. Sometimes distance just changes the way the relationship looks, not the feelings. And maybe that's what makes it hard for many people to move on from them. It's not just the chemistry on screen, but because it all feels too real, too natural, too hard to dismiss as just acting. When they're together, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like two people trying to create a moment. It all just flows naturally. A small glance. A simple joke. The way they react to each other. The little things that might not seem important to others. But that's precisely what makes so many people believe that their relationship is different. And when something feels real, it's hard to forget. But unfortunately, the more real something appears to the public, the greater the pressure. Because the internet has a strange habit. They love something so much. And then, without realizing it, slowly begin to destroy it. Expectations become too high. The public begins to feel ownership of the relationship. They start to expect more. They start to demand more. And at a certain point, it no longer feels healthy. Because two ordinary people can't live solely to fulfill the imaginations of millions. They still have their own lives. They have their own pressures.